Hi, I'm Grace and I'm an alcoholic.
Hey Grace.
Thank you for the meeting and for sharing. I'm quite nervous, to be honest, but I'm just going to share what comes out of my mouth, so I hope it goes according to what I would like to, but yeah. So growing up, firstly it was just my mom, my brother, my sister and I for a couple of years, and that was really, really amazing. We went to school, we were quite close in a family, if I could say that. And then at the age of about 6, she met my dad. And that was a bit of a new thing to me. I had never really seen my mom with a man, and I didn't like it, if I have to be very honest. And the reason why I didn't like it was because the attention was not on me. And I kind of tried to be the homewrecker, but it didn't work. And today I sit with a lot of gratitude that it didn't work. And I'm really, really grateful that I have my dad, because without him, I would not be sitting in this chair today. So there's that. My stepbrother and sister, growing up, we didn't really have the best of relationships. And I think that's just with combining two families together. It was all very new to us, but we made it work. And that was the main thing. School, I hated school. I really did. I only ever went to school so I could play sport and focus on swimming, which at the time I didn't realize I had a very unhealthy obsession with. Swimming was my outlet and my go-to when there were fights at home, or I was being bullied, or just completely and utterly feeling very inadequate, which I have felt my entire life. I've kind of felt like this alien that can't fit in, and I masked that. I masked to be able to fit into any crowd, and later on it caught up with me, and it was literally life or death. Part of my story was that I was abused for quite a bit of my childhood, and I don't really like speaking about it, but it does play a huge role into my journey. And those 4 years of my life were complete and utter turmoil. I didn't know what was really happening, and I didn't know what to do with my life. All I knew is that I wanted to end everything. And that's when I went into my first psych ward, and I thought I was getting better, and I thought I was going to be okay, cool, this is the first and last time, I don't need to go into any more rehabs or psych wards, and that was very false. I missed school basically about 200 days a year, if I could say that. I ran away, and I constantly tried to do fixes. So whether it be piercings at that stage, or cutting my hair, dyeing my hair, doing my nails, stuff like that, outside fixes, so I could just feel adequate for change. And that never really helped. It would help for a couple of hours, and then I'd be sitting in my room and crying my eyes out. And I remember that's how a lot of my life went. I wouldn't say that it was majority of my family's fault or anything. I think it was just I was trying to fill a void that I could never fill. And that's when I started getting into the wrong crowds, whether it be older crowds that knew a lot more about alcohol and substances, or whether it just be people that are not good for me. I thought, okay, cool, I'm going to be in this crowd because I can fit in with them, and they won't be able to tell that there's a problem with me. And that's how it was for many, many years of my teenagehood and growing up. I was in and out of different schools, always trying to find a school that would fit, and it never really did because I wasn't interested. I moved from a remedial school to a mainstream school, and that was a hard toll on me. I didn't fit in. I'm not an academic person, and I just didn't understand anything, if I have to be very honest. And that's when the bullying started, and it would either be emotional bullying or cyberbullying. And I kind of just really accepted that that was my life. I accepted that I was dysfunctional human, and I didn't realize that there was more to my life. So one of the sayings that I do go by is, I was choosing death and I wasn't choosing life. And that was a huge wake-up call for me in a lot of situations. I'm honestly surprised that I'm sitting in this chair today, and that just shows me where my higher power comes in, because as many of us, we put ourselves into situations and we still come out alive. I don't know how, but it's there. And that's how my life was. The clubbing started, the festivals started, and it was constantly jumping from friend group to friend group when my friends would be like, no, Grace, you've got a problem and we don't want to be around you. And I still couldn't hear anything. And that's when I went into a psych ward / rehab. And I was there for 3.5 weeks. And I came out and went back to my same old behavior. And it took a huge strain on my parents. I never really realized what I was doing. I just remember coming home the one night and my mom's room was upstairs, and I saw her looking out the window, and the disappointment on her face really scared me. But again, it wasn't a reality check or wake-up call, so I carried on doing what I did for years after that. And I was constantly running away. I didn't want to face anyone, so if they gave me my truth, then I would put my finger up and run, because that's the easiest thing I thought would possibly be for me, but it wasn't. I couldn't see they just wanted to help. And then a lot of it just, again, I was sick during the week, and as soon as Friday hits, I was alive and I was better. And I'd manipulate my way into making my parents think, okay, no, cool, Grace can go out because it's the Grace show. And that's how my life was growing up. I took a lot away from my siblings. I took their successes away, because if the attention wasn't on Grace, and I'd throw a tantrum. And that's what I did. And it's been hard, because I now see the successes that my siblings all have, and I can finally be proud of them for that. And then I don't really want to talk much about active, but this is where my rock bottom hit. I had met a new friend, and I thought, no, we are going to be good together, but our diseases just thrived off of each other. And I manipulated my mom very much, and she took me to this one house in a very sketchy and dodgy area, and that's the night of my rock bottom. Two of my very, very close friends phoned me randomly, and they tracked my phone and found out where I was, and I went to their house, and I just remember the look on their faces was something that I don't ever want to see again. And it was just a look of utter defeat, if I could say that. And they actually said to me, Grace, when is enough? You are going to die. And that was a wake-up call for me. It took many, many years for that to happen, but it was there. And I knew I had to change. I didn't know what. I wanted to do a 21-day holiday because that was my cycle, but I realized that I needed a lot more help. And that's when I found the house on the hill. And I don't know what was calling me there, but I looked at it, and I think it was the gardens, in all honesty. I saw the gardens, and I was like, that is the place. I'm going to be absolutely zen, because I thought I was the biggest hippie. and I really was not. And the people that do know me from when I walked in can say that. But yeah, I said to my Mom, this place looks amazing. Let me go there. And I didn't know there was a 12-step program. I didn't know that I had to stay there for 3 months. I didn't know that I'd be handed my reality at that point. But I just wanted to go there because the gardens were there and the donkeys. That was also another thing, the donkeys. So I was going to go in on a Friday, and Grace being Grace, she had to go for one last stroll, and I didn't enjoy it at all. I knew that something had to change, and just being around those people weren't doing it for me anymore. And I think it played a huge role in my entire family's lives. My parents didn't think that I was going to go. They thought I was going to chicken out, which I normally did. But Monday came, and I'd packed the car at 4 a.m. in the morning, and I was like, cool, let's go. My dogs got out, which was a whole different story, and I was like, no, I'm sitting in the car, you can go and get the dogs. So I was very selfish and self-centered, which is how I lived my life. And my poor parents running up and down the road trying to get the dogs in, and it was absolute chaos, to say the least. But on the way to Toti, I had took my DOC with me in the car, and I didn't believe it was a DOC. I thought it was helping me to tremendous amounts, but I was in a lot of denial, to say the least. And someone came to fetch me from the COVID testing place, and he said, enough now, we need to go. And I argued with him. I said, no, just hold on. And eventually he was very boundaried with me, and I got into the car. And I didn't know what was going to happen. I was very, very fearful for the unknown. And I think I was just exhausted and needed a change. So I did. So I was sitting in the isolation room, and I got macaroni for dinner, which I didn't eat because I was fussy and I wasn't open-minded. But when I walked into the house, I remember a few people are sitting here and they saw me. I was wearing a very bright yellow jersey, tinted glasses, and I think I was barefoot as well. And they all looked at me and they were just like, no, something needs to change here. And I didn't quite realize what was happening. And I felt comfortable for the first time, and I think I felt comfortable because I'd met my people, and I could be myself around them and not have to put up a mask, but I still did for a while. And I did fight. I went to my sponsor at the time and I said to her, I want to go home. I don't want to be here. People are telling me to get onto my knees, and I'm not religious at all, so how can you tell me to get on my knees? And she phoned my parents, and they said they don't want me home. And that's when I connected, really, to what damage I'd caused and just how tired they were. And many of us know of the concern group. I didn't sit in concerns for a week, and my first concern group, I remember crying because someone else was getting concerned, and I was like to my sponsor, how can you do that, like what on earth is wrong with you? And I didn't realize the true meaning of concern, and then she changed it around and she was like, it's a love group, Grace, just believe that. So I did. And it was hard. My roommate, the first night, she woke up and she thought I was punching the cupboard because I had fallen off the bed. And that plays a big role into our friendship now, because we ended up resenting each other for quite a long time. And now we're inseparable, so there's that too. And it just shows me like how 12 simple steps can change a person's life, because I didn't think I'd make it to 21, and my birthday is next week. I really didn't. I didn't think I'd see my parents again, or anyone in that matter of fact. And that's where I do definitely believe that the house on the hill saved my life and did for me what I could not do for myself. I'd been into many different treatment centers, and none of them got through to me, none of them at all, but this one did, and I don't know what it was. I think it was just because I could relate. And I remember sitting in my first meeting and just saying, I'm an alcoholic. And I didn't believe it at first, but just being able to say that openly, I felt comfort, and I felt like I could be loved for the first time in my entire life. And that was something very, very new to me. And I didn't have to be this fearful little girl, which is what I was. I was a fearful little girl who didn't know what she was doing in her life. And I kind of realized what was happening, and I wasn't ready to leave when the time had come for me to leave, so I asked to stay. And I think that's where the willingness came for me, was that I ended up asking to stay, from wanting to leave to not wanting to leave. That was my home, and I found my people, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed being able to be comfortable. I enjoyed the routine, and I don't know, I don't think many people can say they enjoy rehab, but I did. And then I remember we were doing a Christmas play, and I went to my sponsor and I was like, I need to go down to the halfway house. I'm not ready to reintegrate into society. And she said, I agree. And that's where my journey started on the outside. And that I was completely and utterly fearful for. I didn't know what to expect and what to do. And society is something that I've been very fearful of. People I've been very fearful of. And I've had to learn to walk through that fear constantly. And sometimes it comes up again, and I just have to, I guess, breathe and meditate, and that's what I do. And being down in the halfway wasn't easy at all for me. I didn't like being around other people that I didn't know, and I didn't like the fact that I had to move, and there was change. But once I started settling in, which only took about 2 days, I felt like that was my new home, and I'd get the growth that I needed. I learned how to cook there. I learned how to take personal responsibility, and I learned how to live. And someone who is not with us today, and we know him very well, he said to me, Grace, this is your chance to live your life to the fullest, so do it. And that has stuck with me each and every day in recovery. And it hasn't been the easiest, but it's been the best thing for myself. I've filled a void that I'd been looking for life. And I've experienced a lot of things that have been challenging in a first year of recovery. My grandpa has got stage 4 terminal cancer, so there's that, which has been hard. I've lost a few family members, and I've also experienced an operation, which is all very, very new to me. And I haven't been able to numb those emotions at all. I've had to feel them. And I think feeling them has been the best thing for me, because it's not about Grace anymore. I can be there for my family, which is something I could never say. I have a relationship with my mom, with my dad, with my grandparents. My grandpa recently just said to me, you know, Grace, I sold my Beamer for you, but I wouldn't take that back because I have my granddaughter. And I think that was the biggest thing for me, is that my family could start seeing the change, even though I couldn't. And they wanted to help me, and I knew I had to meet them halfway, and I wanted to help myself, and I did. Once I stopped fighting everything and everyone, I was willing, I was open-minded, and I was honest. And that was difficult. I came in, I think, with the maturity of an age, a 7-year-old, if I could be honest, and I had a baby voice. So when I was put under pressure or being confronted, my voice would go very victim-like. And that, I can say, has been lifted, which is a miracle, because I've been able to find my voice. And that's all because of recovery, you know. Recently, I've just experienced a bit of emotional turmoil, and my first thought was to just run. It wasn't to pick up or anything, but it was just to run. And I knew that I couldn't run because there was nowhere to go. So I stayed, and it was hard. It was hard to, I guess, just feel everything that I did, but getting through it, the growth that came with it was something that I didn't really realize would, and I can finally say that I'm a bit more on my feet with that stuff. And I've had the pleasure to have two very, very, very strong women a part of my recovery, one sitting on my right side and one sitting on my left side. And without these two women, I would not be in this chair today. They saved me from me wanting to die. And that's the true gift. I don't know how, but what they do with me works. And that's something that has always been very foreign. I've never wanted anyone to help me, and I've never wanted to accept help. But something changed, and that's the beauty of it. Recovery for me is simple. I've got to keep it very, very simple. I've got to live my life, and at times I'm going to find challenges, and there are going to be times where I just want to run. But if I don't run, then I know I've got everything. If I know I'm working my program to the best of my ability, then I've got everything. And that's also something I didn't realize, that I have a purpose of life now. And that's something that I'd been looking for. I'd been looking for that purpose, and I still don't know what it is, but it's there. And I can honestly say I wouldn't change anything that I've experienced in my life, because I would not be sitting here today. The challenges, the wanting to just end everything, to not wanting to, and to want to fight. And I think that's something that I've always believed. I'm a fighter. And my mom says something, "You're stronger than you think you are." And I don't believe it at times, but it's the truth. I'm not that little girl anymore who is scared. I'm a young lady, and that's something I could never say. This past year, a lot's gone on, and it's kind of overwhelming, and I can't remember everything. So yeah, I'm just going to stop it. But thank you for all coming. Thanks for letting me share.